I want you to think about this. Visualize young woman, caramel skin, 5 feet 1, chest about a 32, waist 23, tops, hips 36. Dances all the time, skates all the time. Body is that truly of a brick house. I want you to visualize this woman, young, vibrant, and vivacious, with the ability to move and contort her body and do all kinds of things. So crazy that in such a way you would wonder, is she like a stripper or something? Oh, hey, Aracela, thank you for coming in. You already know the video will be here for you to continue to, for you to come back. But go back and so visualize this. A woman, a young woman, the epitome of confidence. Then I want you to think about all the men at every 5 minutes. They're like, hey, baby, how you doing? And you got more cake than Duncan Hines. And, you know, you've been running around in my imagination and blah, blah, blah. All these little corny lines that they always used to bring. Getting a man was never a problem for her. And she was confident. Matter of fact, she had been taking care of herself since she was 19 years old. So she knew that she had it going on. Hello. She paid her own bills. She even got herself off of welfare and food stamps. She went through extreme odds to buy her own first vehicle. She started her own business as a hairstylist. This right here sounds like a bombshell of a woman, don't you think? That woman was me. Beautiful, young, vibrant, vivacious. People that know me will tell you, even all the way back in high school, I always had a knack for speaking. I always had a knack for inspiring, that I was very confident and that I was just this amazing, beautiful woman. And you either liked August or you didn't. I was the same kind of person then as I am now. But there was one key thing that was different about me. And that was that I never realized that I was empty and that I was broken inside. And I began to live a lifestyle that many women would justify as the right behavior because men were dogs and they were full of shit. Everywhere I looked and everywhere I turned, you know, and I'm sorry, I have to put this out here. I love my family, but the vast majority of the men in my family were whores. All of them had babies on their wives. Every auntie that I had got married and her husband had babies on her. You know, the men that I esteemed the most religious ones were the most whorish ones. So needless to say, marriage was not at the top of my list. Please. So what did I do? Because I am still a woman, I'm vibrant, I'm vivacious. I said I only need a man for one thing. We've seen that before, and in my era, it seemed like that used to be a popular thing. We used to say, I don't need a man for nothing but some dick. That's just the way a lot of us women put it. We weren't necessarily trying to be a hoe in the sense of we were going out on the prowl just trying to find men to sleep with, but it was one of those things that you could get with me, but you couldn't get close to me. Matter of fact, let's go somewhere else. I don't even necessarily want you at my home, and I don't want you to meet my daughter, and I don't even want to go out with you because I'm focused. I'm making money. That was the kind of person that I was. I remember some guys used to try to go out with me and they'd be like, you want to go out on Friday? I'm like, I got a client that want to come and get their hair done. It's going to cost $150. Can you pay me $150? See, I'm not a gold digger, but I would hate to take my time to go out on a date with you and it's a bust. And I don't make any money either. So I tell you what, we can go on a date, but I'll call you and you adjust your schedule and you make yourself available for me. Once again, sounds like a bombshell woman. Vibrant, vivacious, smart, beautiful, confident. But I never realized that what was eating at the core of me was the absence of love and the absence of confidence. And I displayed the opposite of that nature in a very rebellious, sexual way. So I went through these phases where I entertained men and then I let them go. Or I went through these phases where I didn't want to entertain anything but money and I let it go. So all of a sudden, I go through a really tragic incident with one of my brothers dying. And I decided that I needed to get back in touch with God. I had all of these things happen to me. And I started studying, I started reading the Bible and doing all of these different things. And I was like, man, something really hit me when it said you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Something really hit me when it started talking about how your mouth should be a tool for good fruit and that you would reap the benefits of what you speak. And I just was in that phase in my life where something woke up in me and I needed to be more spiritually sound. And I started praying and I started seeking a relationship with God. And then I had an epiphany. Girl, you are a good woman. You look at how well you take care of a home. Look at how well you take care of your daughter. Look at how well you run a business. Stop saying crazy things like this, because this is what I used to say. I ain't never getting married, and I guess I'm going to die and go to hell because I love sex. But I ain't marrying none of these niggas. That's what I used to say. I was raised in the church, so I knew that sex out of marriage was a sin, and I wasn't going to stop having sex, but I wasn't going to get married. But after getting into this spiritual place, I was like, don't talk like that. And in doing so, I opened up a whole nother world. I realized that I was marriage material. Now, it may not make sense to you, but a lot of us don't realize that we can't just read the Bible. We can't just have a spiritual epiphany, and we can't just flip a switch and turn around, and then all of a sudden, all of our decisions are perfect. There's still this area of vulnerability that needs to be dealt with. There's still this pain, previous behaviors that still need to be addressed. But deeper than the behavior, it has to do with what was going on in your mind in the first place to make you make the decisions that you made. Because see, here's the reality. The majority of us go through extremes. You're either extremely happy or you're extremely sad. And to just be in a mellow place of calm, sometimes that just seems too weird. So I went from one extreme to the next. I went from I ain't gonna marry a man to I'm wife material. And I'm not out looking for a man because the Bible says that a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. But I got my eyes open. Because when Mr. Right comes looking for me, hey, I'm going to get myself together. I'm going to read the word. I'm going to know what it means to be a virtuous woman. I'm going to step my game up, and I am going to be ready. And how many of you have heard of the law of attraction? Well, you better believe it. As soon as I made that decision, a whole nother other level of opportunities were coming to me. Friends were meeting guys. I remember I had this one friend at the skating rink named Tamara. And she was like, August, I met the great guy for you. Perfect guy. Now, mind you, I didn't tell her that I changed my mind. But she was like, you're a good woman. I don't know why you don't have no man. So I met this man up in Schnucks, and that's a grocery store in St. Louis. She was like, and let me tell you something. I done already checked him out. He works for Pepsi. He has a good job. He has benefits. He ain't got no kids, no baby mama drama. Such that he talks well. I looked at him. He your type. He light skinned. He this low haircut. And I know that you would think that he's fine. So by the way, I gave him your number. When he calls you, you should go out with him. I was like, really? Calm down and woosai, because that was overstepping her bounds. You gave out my number? No, you were supposed to get the man's number and give it to me. But they were coming. They were coming like crazy. Well, one day, I went to the skating rink. And after all of these other men had came to me and introduced themselves, I finally saw one that pretty much fit the description that she said. For those of you that know, my husband is chocolate and fine to me. For whatever reason, I always attracted some light-skinned Negro. But anyway, I saw this guy, and oh my God, I was like, And I met him at the skate rink. Perfect, because I'm going to need somebody who understands and respects my hobby. And we roller skated, and we had a great time. And I said, oh, okay, I'm going to be patient with this one. Because the way that he came at me, he was already talking right. Talking about how he don't like to play games and, he either going to be with a woman, ain't going to be with a woman. And I'm like, okay. I'm going to see exactly what he's talking about. Now, I need you guys to understand, I'm fast forwarding through this story and giving you a lot of nuts and bolts. And I'm hoping that you pay attention so that you can connect all the dots and put them together. When I met this man, he seemed perfect. I mean, he came to the table. I should have known something was wrong because he just did too much in the beginning. When he came to the table, he was like, hey, this is where I work. Bam, here's my check stub. This is how much I make. I have 2 children. One's in North Carolina, one's in South Carolina. Red flag, something I talked about in one of my books. But I'm like, okay, that's cool. Because he also was like, yeah, and I send money orders every week when I get paid. I'm like, oh, well, automatically. He just had me. I'm like, he take care of his other kids. I'm good. Okay, cool. Oh my God, my landlord was a slumlord. The sink wasn't working. Let me go look at that real quick. Run around the corner to the hardware store, came and fixed it. All of a sudden, something went wrong in my car, an oxygen sensor. Okay, I know to stay up on the brakes and the maintenance and all of these things, but he went and fixed that too. I'm like, oh, he's handy too? This is getting good. And last but not least, he was willing to go to church with me. Oh, this is getting good. And I shut everything down. I said, okay, I need to examine this one so that I can give it a shot. But many of you've heard my story and you know that my first marriage ended in divorce. But this man, he came correct. He was the wolf in sheep's clothing. So number one, sisters, I understand where you are. Whatever it was that you needed for security, you saw it. You saw exactly what you needed to see to feel comfortable to move forward with this man. Number two, you possibly were an extreme, so far left field one way that you ended up ended up wanting to correct that negative behavior that you went too far the other way. And so your perception might have been off. Here it is that your sensors weren't necessarily working right because you were negative or broken or empty in the inside in the first place. And there's a whole nother other list of things that I can say. But the point is, no one wakes up and looks in the mirror and says, you know what? Today I'd like to destroy my life. Today I'd like to marry a man who's going to think that pushing, shoving, or hitting me is going to be the answer. Today I'd love to marry a man that will cheat on me and have other kids while we're married. Today is the day that I will have a man that is just can't control it, and whether he has kids or not, he just gonna sleep with everything that's walking. Today, I'll marry a man that is never going to be sensitive to my desires or my needs. He's never going to rub my back or want to sit down and watch TV with me. Everything he did to get me, he won't do it to keep me. We don't make those kinds of decisions. We go in because we are impressed. So what would end up happening to me is that this man would seem like he was an angel. And it would only take me 6 months before Mrs. Confident, cocky, sexy, 32, 23, 36, Miss Brick House would say, I do. And the torture would begin.